Yo, what's going on guys? Jared here, and today I have a very fun deck to show you. This is a deck that I've been playing on Dueling Book a lot of the time, and me and my brother have been working on it, and it's just super fun. This deck is, it's just all gas. It's so fun. It is super competitive, and it is a competitive deck. We are going to be messing around with Tearlament today, but this is not just normal Tearlament. We are going to be messing with branded Tearlament. So the argument that people were making to not play this build was that it just loses to D-Barrier. Yeah, who the hell is playing D-Barrier? No one is playing it right now, like at all. So who the hell cares? Just play Branded Tearlament. This deck's insane. There's so many power cards. There's so many things you can do. There's so many variables. Like there's so many cool interactions between the branded cards and the Tearlament cards. This is definitely something to not take. You really need to take this deck seriously. I cannot believe how no one's playing this deck. But I'm going to show you guys the deck profile. Hope you guys enjoy, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Alright guys, so here's the deck list. We are playing like I said, the Branded Despia deck with Tearlaments in it, and it is super fun. I'm going to go over the deck list card by card and make some explanations of why I'm not using certain things, or why I am using certain things, and I'll explain as I go. So we have 1 copy of Albion, 3 copies of Aluber, 3 copies of Tragedy, 1 copy of Fairy Tale Snow, 2 copies of Fallen, 1 Ecclesia, 1 Shaddoll Beast, 1 Kit, 3 Hoffins, 3 Miru, 3 Rhino Hearts, 3 Shailines, and then for the spells we have 3 Branded Fusion, 3 Branded High Spirits, 1 Branded in Red, 1 Branded Lost, 3 Branded Opening, 1 Call by the Grave, 1 Foolish Burial, 1 Instant Fusion, 3 Primeval Planet, 1 Terraforming, 1 of the Meta Noise, and then 1 Sulic for the 2 trap cards that I play. For the side deck we have a very simple 3 Dark Ruler No More, 3 Droplet, 3 Deck Devi, 3 Eradicator, and 3 Trap Trick. And then for the extra deck we have 3 Albion, 1 D3 S Frog, 1 Construct, 1 Winda, 1 Chimera, 1 Lubellion, 2 Masquerade, 1 Mirror Jade, 2 Dracostapelia, 1 Kaleido Heart, and then 2 Kikalos. Alright, so before you immediately click off this video before I start explaining anything, I'm not playing Super Apomerization, mainly because 1, I do not have room in the extra deck currently. As much as I want to, I do not have it right now. And in the main deck, I do not want to play more than 45 cards. I'm already playing way more cards than I want to play, but everything is just so powerful. 2, I wanted to, the reason that Super Poly is so meh in this is that you really want every card in your hand to be live, and discarding for cost is really bad in this deck, especially when you're already discarding for something like Lubellion. You can't really, you can't lose too many cards to stuff like that, because you have to discard 1 for Lubellion, you might have to put 1 for Kit back, and then you have to discard 1 for Super Poly too. That's 3 cards you're going to lose immediately right off the rip, which kind of sucks, and you really don't want to have to do it if you don't have to. So that's the reason that Super Poly's not in here. It's just too much of a minus, and usually you can break boards regardless. Again, this is not the most competitive version of this deck in my opinion. This is definitely more of a fun, full gas build. I just want to make that very clear. I think that there's definitely a better, more competitive way to play this, but this is just all gas, and it's just super fun. Now, this card, Branded in High Spirits, is super fun. I've been on this card for a very long time with this deck. Being able to use any of the Tearlaments except for Rhino Heart to send D3 S-Frog with it and then search Kit makes it a 1.5 starter. You can do it in the draw phase as well as do Branded Opening in the draw phase. You could play so many things in the draw phase just for no reason. You can Branded in High Spirits, pitch 1, summon, get Kit, activate the Tearlament to be able to summon Kikalos, and then send, and then you can fusion again if you wanted to. You can Dracostapelia in draw phase. There's just so many options with playing these cards. And then something else to highly consider was that if this card's in the graveyard and you send a fusion to the graveyard, you can add it back to the hand, and that also applies for Ecclesia. So at the end of every turn, ideally your opponent's turn, so let's say you Brand in the High Spirits on your turn, and then you use Ecclesia on as well to search and then discard it, which is usually what happens, or you can use this to summon Albaz from your deck if you're going second, but that's just a different play. If this is in your graveyard and Brand in the High Spirits in your graveyard, you can add them both back in the end phase, as well as use Tragedy, which actually ends up being used more to reset either Branded Fusion or Opening your High Spirits as either follow-up or interruption, rather than actually search the Aluber, because that's all it's in here for, is just to search Aluber for the most part, and then for the follow-up. Speaking of Tragedy, Tragedy is not dead with the High Spirits. This is also a way to start your combos, because we do play the Construct, because Tragedy is a fairy, so you can use the Construct to send Tragedy and then add Branded Fusion. And then this also does set up the Winda play as well, because you can Branded Fusion for Lubellion, and then use a Tearlament and the Fallen for the Webellion, and then you can chain the Webellion and the Tearlament. Use the Construct and the Tearlament to be able to make Winda as well as Mirror Jade. So that's good to know that Brand of the High Spirits as well as Tragedy by itself is Mirror Jade plus Winda. That's still really, really strong. Now, I know a lot of you may be thinking that Winda is very outdated right now with everyone playing Dark Ruler and whatnot. You are not wrong, I will say. That is definitely something that can be outdated, but the way that this deck can play it is that you're not aiming to go for Winda turn 1. I want to make that clear. You are ideally trying to Winda on your opponent's turn after they've used those cards. So whether you're ending on something with like Mirror Jade Double Masquerade, or you're ending on Draco Stapelias, or you're ending on Kaleido Heart, you want to be able to use a trap or an opening or a High Spirits on your opponent's turn, then sending like a Tearlament to then fuse on your opponent's turn, which will then make Winda after they've used things like the Dark Ruler and the Droplet on the rest of your board. As well as Fairy Tale Snow, that's kind of like in the same realm of you want to put it in the graveyard. They try doing stuff to your board, but you still have the extra interruption in your graveyard regardless with the snow there, just to be able to play around stuff. I couldn't make a decision of which trap was better for the Tearlament's traps. Both of them are really, really strong in different situations. This one is way better for milling, obviously, because you can search a Tearlament. And Meta Noise, I think, is better going first because the fact that booking a card right now is super powerful. Booking Kakalos is super powerful. Booking any Split Monster is super powerful. A Swap Frog, all that stuff is super, super strong right now. Obviously, we played the Instant Fusion called by Foolish Terraforming as well as Insane One-Ofs in this deck. I think that's it for the main deck going over everything. Albion, of course, is a 1-for-1. You can send something like Brand of the High Spirits and then add it back in the end phase with its own effect, or opening for protection for your fusion monsters. And yeah, so that's going to be it for the main deck explanations. I feel like I covered everything there. For the side deck, we just have a very generic 6 going second cards. I feel like this deck goes second very well as it is, and you don't need to input anything else going second other than, you know, what's already in the deck, and then this generic negation for things like Winda, for things such as Scythe to be able to play around them with Droplet, and the Toad and Elf boards can be annoying, but usually you can play through them regardless. But this is still pretty good in my opinion, and this works well. And then for going first, we have just a 9 degenerate card package of Deck Devastation, Eradicator, Academic Virus, and Trap Trick. I know Eradicator is kind of weird, but it is very good. Trust me, you can use it against any rogue matchup, especially such as Elrich and Sky Striker, but it also counters Mystic Mind. It can also be pretty good against other decks as well. Just like in general, I think it's a very good card and is a blowout card, and you want to be able to get to it with Trap Trick. So Trap Trick is a nice double for these cards. And then for the extra deck, as I already said with the Construct, you can use it with Tragedy and Brand of the High Spirits to get your combos going. I think it's very, very strong. D3 Frog, again, is very good for the Brand of the High Spirits. Winda, Winda can still end games by itself. I want to make that very clear. I know that a lot of people have cut Winda from the competitive builds of Tearlaments, but Winda can still end the game by itself. It still puts you on have the out or you lose. That is something that I feel like a lot of people are underestimating, and is super relevant still. Guardian Chimera is obviously for Brandon in red, just for the interruption, and is a super, super strong card. To Albion, I found some situations where I wanted the second one. Also, you can use this with Brandon High Spirits with the Fallen of Albaz. Please do not forget that. That is super important. And then 1 Rebellion, because it can recycle itself regardless. 2 Masquerade. Masquerade comes up a good amount of times for me, and I want to be able... I feel like playing 1 is kind of redundant, so I would want to play 2 because I think ending on 2 is very, very good. 1 is just not good. I feel like 1 is not an interruption. 2 definitely is an interruption because you could just kill some decks, and they're big enough and annoying enough to where your opponent can't play anyway, if that makes any sense. Against Brave, we all know it counters very well. If you activate, I believe it's 7 times that they lose. That's not a lot of cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! To this day. When you have to activate the card, activate the effect, and then activate the effect again. You know, it's a lot of stuff, especially when you're searching. Especially for something like Splight too. Every time you summon one, you have to use an effect on the summon. So let's say they go like Red, Jet, and Starter, and Gigantic. Just by themselves, that's 4. And then not even including Frogs, Rodent Totems, or anything like that. Mirror Jade is insane right now. Do not let this fool you. Mirror Jade is a crazy card. Just because people stop playing Despia for the most part, this card is nuts still. I cannot stress that enough. Even if it gets Dark Rulered, after Dark Ruler resolves or drop wooded, you send Albion to the graveyard, and then on the follow-up turn, if this survives, you can use it again. It does not have the restriction because it was negated, and you still get the Albion search or set off of it. So very, very good, something to keep in mind right now in this current format. Double Dracostopelia, this is your long game as well as a very, very good interruption against things like Splight and even Tearlament. Obviously, this card is just really, really good. There's not much explanation. It's such good recyclability and interruption. And then, obviously, the three Tearlaments, Kaleido Hearts, and Rhino Heart, and not Rhino Hearts, and Kakalos. These are just insane. But this is all pretty standard at this point. But overall, this deck is very, very fun. I would highly recommend it. Just if you're messing around and want to have fun with it, innovate on something, feel free to try this out and like switch around ratios and try different things. Because there's so many ways you can play this, to be honest. You can play the more heavier Despia package with the other Despias to go for more of that build. You can play the Frightfur package. You can play King of the Swamp if you want to. And Polymerization. There's so many different ways to play this. This is just the build that I find the most fun and enjoyable. So overall, I hope you guys enjoyed this deck. This has been an absolute blast playing. I do not know what deck profile I'm making next or what kind of video I'm making next, but I will get back to you on that once I can. Please, again, subscribe. I really appreciate it. I would love to get to 1,000 subscribers. That would mean the world to me. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.